All right, I want you to picture something. That old Nintendo cartridge, you know the one, probably sitting in a shoebox in your closet. Now, what if I told you that wasn't just a memory, but a serious investment? Sounds a little wild, right? Well, believe it or not, we're going to dive into how vintage video games are quietly becoming this incredible, surprising new asset class. No, really, I'm serious. Could your childhood be worth a fortune? That collection you spent hours on, the one you just thought was for fun? Well, it might be way more valuable than you ever imagined. We're literally watching a shift from a simple pastime to a serious portfolio. Okay, just look at this number on the screen. $1.56 million. Let that sink in for just a second. What on earth could possibly be worth that much? Yep, that was the auction price for a single, pristine, still-in-the-box copy of Super Mario 64. And the most important thing to get here is that this isn't just some crazy one-off fluke. Oh no, it's a massive signal, pointing to a much bigger trend. So yeah, a price tag like that, it doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's being fueled by what you could honestly call a nostalgic gold mine. And we really need to dig in and understand what's actually driving all of this. So, what's the deal? Why are these old games suddenly so incredibly valuable? I mean, it's not just because they're old, right? The real answer, well, it's this fascinating mix of straight up economics and some really powerful human emotion. When you break it all down, it really comes down to two major forces just colliding, creating, well, the perfect storm. So, on one hand, you've got this massive wave of nostalgia. I'm talking about an entire generation of us who grew up with these games, and now we have disposable income. But then on the other hand, you've got extreme scarcity. I mean, think about it. Who kept their games sealed in the box? Nobody. We ripped them open and played them. So when that huge demand smashes into that incredibly tiny supply, boom, prices just go through the roof. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. They want to buy back a piece of their childhood. See, that's the human driver behind all of this. It's not just some asset on a spreadsheet. It's about reconnecting with a feeling, with a memory. It's about owning a real, tangible piece of your own personal history. Okay, so all of this might have you thinking, hey, what about my old collection? And the good news is, you absolutely don't need $1 million fine to get started. There's actually a pretty clear path for anyone who wants to get involved. Yeah, you can think of it as your own little investment quest. Step one is easy. Just unearth your collection. Go digging in the attic or the basement. Then, you gotta do your homework. Jump online, see what similar games are actually selling for. After that, storage is absolutely key to keeping that value. And, if you think you have something really serious, professional grading is the way to go to authenticate it and protect your investment. And I really have to stress this. You don't need that $1 million fine to begin. Most people are starting out small. They're focusing on those moderately priced games that still have a ton of cultural significance. The barrier to entry here can be surprisingly low. Okay, but before you go tearing through the attic, we've got to be real. Just like any investment, this is not a guaranteed path to getting rich. To navigate the risks here, you're going to need a mix of real passion and a whole lot of patience. A really good way to think about this is like the early days of baseball card collecting. The market is young, it's exciting for sure, but it absolutely requires that perfect blend of passion for the stuff, patience to let it grow in value, and honestly, some serious homework. So you need to be ready for a few key challenges. First off, this market is volatile. Prices can swing wildly, so it's a lot safer to invest in the big names, your Zeldas, your Marios, games with a lasting cultural impact. Second, fakes are a huge problem. Counterfeit cartridges, resealed boxes. You got to do your research and check in with online communities before you even think about buying. And finally, condition is everything. I mean, everything. A tiny little dent can destroy the value, and that's exactly why professional grading has become such a big deal. So when you step back and look at the whole picture, you see this amazing transformation happening. A childhood pastime evolving into a legitimate piece of an investment portfolio. And what's so cool about this is that you're investing in what's called a tangible asset. That just means it's a physical thing you can actually hold in your hands. It's not like a stock or a bond that just exists on a screen. This is a real piece of cultural history that can sit right there on your shelf. And that right there is the real payoff. You get to invest in something you already understand and love. You get to hold on to a physical piece of cultural history. And you're taking something that used to just be a pastime and turning it into something that could be a really profitable piece of your portfolio down the road. So it all comes full circle, right back to the beginning. What forgotten treasure is just sitting there waiting in your closet? Seriously, before you think about donating that old box of games, maybe it's worth taking one more look. Because today's pastime could genuinely be tomorrow's profitable portfolio. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What might you find?